Welcome to KRA's The Hub, the official podcast of KRA Corporation. And now get ready to hear workforce topics and trends you need to know on the go.
All right. Well, welcome back to KRA's The Hub podcast. We are excited for today's series of episodes. Myself and many of my KRA colleagues were at the recent Raising the Bar conference in Maryland. And just want to thank the Maryland Workforce Association for putting on this conference. It was a workforce conference that featured over 1,000 guests, 1,000 members, workforce development professionals, leaders, folks that work on the front lines. We also had the opportunity to meet many great vendors and organizations that are actually supporting the workforce development industry. I was joined by a series of episode recordings with my colleague, Derek Colbert. Derek, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Jonathan. It's good to be back with you.
You as well. And Derek, we had the opportunity to talk with a lot of individuals. It ranged from folks that are working on the front lines, leaders of organizations, vendors that are providing services within workforce development. As we were a part of that, as you think back to the experience that we had there, what are some of the things that you think that our audience will be able to glean from these episodes?
Great question. As I reflect on the Raising the Bar Workforce Development Conference, and just the series of folks that we had the opportunity to interview, I really feel like the audience truly going to enjoy this podcast series right here, because we heard from everyone that's offering services for returning citizens, a very robust conversation around that. The young lady that's a former KRA employee that's now working for employee Prince George's County that's doing some excellent work within the youth development space. Our former colleague John Hattery that's doing some dynamic work for WorkSource Montgomery as well, and others as well, such as Joseph Seymour, Mr. Walter Simmons, that really spoke about the collective impact that we need to have in workforce development. But for me, I'm gonna be a little bit biased. This for me, it was awesome to really hear from Mr. Norton Atterbury, the founder and CEO here of KRA Corporation, and just to hear his journey, just to hear his insight on the state of workforce development, not only in the state of Maryland, but also this workforce development from a national perspective as well. So I really feel like the listening audience truly going to have an opportunity to hear from some dynamic individuals that's our trailblazers within the workforce development space. But please, I don't want to leave out, and I start calling names, I'm going to miss folks, but I don't want to leave out the conversation around the wholeness and the wellness of women in the workforce development space here as well. So this for the listening audience, I truly want you guys to sit back and just enjoy the ride that we're going to take you on as it relates to this particular podcast right here, because not for the sake of repeating myself, but it was some very dynamic conversations and some very robust conversations that came from out of this podcast series right here. So we have something for everyone. If you are a woman in workforce development, we have something for you. If you are an inspiring CEO in workforce development, we have something for you. If you are a workforce development professional that just starting your journey in workforce development, we have something for you. If you are trying to figure out how KRA have been able to grow leaders within the workforce development space, we have something for you as well. So we have something for everyone as it relates to your journey here in workforce development. And you are a business owner that's looking to hire workforce development individuals or our job seekers, we have something for you as well. So here again, we have a very robust conversation in from all different angles as it relates to workforce development and community economic development here. So that would be my takeaway.
Well, I appreciate that, Derek. And I believe as well that our audience is going to enjoy these episodes. And again, we want to highlight that this is a series. So if you're catching us part 2 or part 3 of this series, make sure you go back and listen to some of the other episodes. But with that being said, at this time, we will transition to our episodes that we recorded at Raising the Bar in Maryland.
All right. Well, welcome to KRA's The Hub podcast. We're here today live in Maryland at the Raising the Bar conference here in Hanover, Maryland. And I'm joined by my co-host today, Derek Colbert. Welcome, Derek.
Thank you, John, for having me.
We're excited today, and during the course of this conference, we're going to be joined by influential leaders in workforce development, and we're going to talk to them about the conference. We're going to talk to them about their career journey. And today, we're joined by Alexis Franks with NADUP. She is the Director of Memberships with NADUP. Welcome, Alexis.
Thank you. Thank you, both Jonathan and Derek. Good to be with you today.
Well, first off, tell us a little bit about your background and what you currently do with NADUP. What does it mean to be the Director of Memberships?
Sure. So my background, a little bit about what I do now. I actually came from a human resources background. So in recruiting, it was always an idea of how you can connect a person with the career that they were looking for in that moment, that job that they were looking for in that moment, working with staffing. That translated over into workforce development. I started my career here in business services in North Carolina, so still living in North Carolina, and I worked all the way to providing services for migrant and seasonal farm workers. So now with the National Association of Workforce Development Professionals, I have the ability to still connect other professionals with how they're serving their communities. So if I can share a resource or make an introduction to another person or a service provider, something that will help you make a better person in your community, give them the career of their dreams, that's where my focus is now. Association work is a little bit different from programs, but it's still the same feel of how are we helping each other. So that's what I've liked about this position.
That's great. I always love to hear people's origin story of how they got into workforce. The adage, nobody planned to get into workforce development, right, but we have kind of stepping stone experiences that lead us to this point. Well, Thank you for that, Alexis.
Thank you for that, Alexis. So if you may, can you really speak about some kind of skills and experience that you have gained throughout your illustrious career?
So I think the things that were big for me was really being able to advocate for others. So the work of workforce development, we think a lot of assessing and providing career planning and information to get a person the career that they're looking for. But for me, it really turned into how am I helping this person to see in themselves what I can see, that potential, and turn that into a growth of a career. And I've done that in supervising teams. I've been able to say, okay, here's where your strengths are. How can we help you to grow and develop that into your career? So for me, it hasn't been what I've taken from my career journey, but it's how I've poured into others. And help them to be better professionals in providing the services that we provide. And workforce development is very unique. I know we hear it a lot. I've fallen into it, but I think I walked into it. I think for me it was an intentional step, and every step after that became even more intentional for how I was in a room and how I presented our services, how I connected with other professionals, and how I could assist others. So I think those were the skills that I really gained along this path, and being able to teach that to someone else, hopefully it can help them in their career journey too.
If I may, as a seasoned workforce development professional, can you elaborate on how you see economic development and workforce development going hand in hand?
Absolutely. Actually, with our first podcast, I'm glad that I'm able to participate in this, in the hub. But one of the things that we always talk about is, what is your piece of the puzzle? And for us, a lot of workforce development or economic development professionals or private sector don't really see. They see that they have a need, but where's my connection? And the connection is the investment. With any economic development agency, you are wanting to bring business to this area, to your state, to your region, for a specific purpose. And the way that you do that is making sure that you have workforce ready to fill those positions that that employer might be looking for. So your piece of the puzzle is investing in the people that live in your communities, that are going to want to commute or already live in your neighborhood to work for your organization. And are they connected, even more so, are they connected to your mission and purpose of your organization? Will they want to come work for you? So I think for an economic development perspective, it's important that they invest in their workforce that's in their local communities, and make sure that the mission and purpose is really driven based on what that county or state provides.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's great. Alexis, as we're talking about leadership development and growth, you've shared about your career journey, and I know we could all probably say that professional development is not a straight shot. It's probably a combination of some self-guided decisions that we've made, maybe some mentors or organizations that are influential in that development. When you look back on your career, what were some of those organizations or mentors that were really influential in your development in your career?
That's a great question. There's so many individuals that I could easily think of that said my name in a room that I was not even in, that opened me up for an opportunity that I didn't even think I was ready for. But I think it is professionals that are more seasoned than I may be, that have really led the way and made a way for me to grow in workforce development. Without naming one person individually, I know that there are regional organizations and associations such as the Southeastern Employment and Training Association, such as KRA. All of you have been a major stepping stone for me just to believe in myself the way that you all believe in me. And I think that's our gift to what we give back to workforce development professionals, allowing them the space to grow and to be themselves, to run programs in a way that impacts communities. And I think those are organizations and people within those organizations have really made a way for me to get to where I've been today. And that experience has just been like no other place that I've ever been before. So I'm thankful for every individual and organization.
That's great. As a follow-up to that, would you say that there are any lessons that you carry with you that have maybe to this day that are part of your leadership or how you approach your further development within your career?
So I think the number one lesson for me, and I've actually just had a recent conversation on this, it was a quote that I heard, and the quote was, "It all starts with us." And to me, that was major because even for me, I didn't know where workforce development could take me. I know I needed a job to support my family. And a lot of us come into workforce and don't realize the impact that we have on ourselves and others. So the lesson for me was that it starts with us. Now being a seasoned workforce professional, how can I give back to someone else the way that people gave to me? And us being in a room, even being here at this conference, the Maryland Association, Workforce Association Conference, I think it is important for us to say now, it all starts with us too. How can we give back? How can we give to the communities in Maryland, the communities across the country, and support their own growth and development? So that was a big lesson, that everything I do, every step I take, conversations I have, it all starts with us.
That's great.
That's great. Thank you for sharing your lessons. If you had to share a message to the listening audience, what would that message be?
I think the message for today would be to appreciate where you are, how far you've come, and how far you are able to go. I think being in environments like this where we can see the impact that programs have, hear from others about their success, their failures, their journey, we don't often take time to reflect on where we've come from, how far we've come, and how much further we have to go. And these are opportunities that we have to come together and really take advantage of others' resources and guidance and best practices to see how much further we could go. So if I could share any message, it's take that time, reflect, but let's make some steps to take forward.
Great message. Thank you.
Alexis, before we close, I'm sure there are people out there that are listening to this podcast that are not members of NADA. Since we have you here, what are the next steps? How can they take that next step to become a member of NADA? And what are some of the things that they can expect through that membership?
Absolutely. So becoming a member of NADA is one of the easiest things you'll be able to do. You can sign up for a membership at NAWDP.org, NAWDP.org. And that way you can connect with professionals across the country. I think I mentioned we have about 4,700 members within the U.S. and U.S. territories. And really what we want to do is have that opportunity to connect with others. So that's what you can expect from membership, whether it's in an in-person conference or online community or online webinars. We want to make sure you have the resources you need to provide the services that you have in the community. So feel free to check us out at our website, join us, and hopefully we can connect you to other professionals that will help.
That's great. Well, Alexis, again, want to thank you for your time here. There's a lot happening at this conference, but it's been great to connect and hear about your leadership journey and how you got to the place where you are in workforce development. So thank you for joining us. Derek, it's always great to be joined with you as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
We are here live in person at the Raising the Bar conference here in Hanover, Maryland, and we've had a great time, myself and my co-host and colleague, Derek Colbert, interviewing and really just having conversations with influencers, leaders within workforce development, also some folks that are working on the front lines in this field. And it's been a great conference so far. We've also been catching up with new and familiar faces, some that have worked with KRA in the past and are doing new things in the realm of workforce development. So we have a special guest joining us right now, Anthony Featherstone. He is the Executive Director of WorkSource Montgomery. Anthony, welcome. It's great to see you.
Good to be here. I'll take it anytime somebody calls me special, so it's good to be with you all.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we're going to talk today about your journey with KRA, but I want to start off by you giving us a background of what you're currently doing, your role, and some of the initiatives that you're working on in WorkSource Montgomery.
So I am the executive director for WorkSource Montgomery in Montgomery County, Maryland. I always say Maryland, we are raising the bar, but there's a Montgomery County in Pennsylvania, Montgomery, Alabama, and I think just the other day, I forget the area, but somebody called out that there was another Montgomery County somewhere else, and I can't remember where. But yeah, so I'm the executive director in Montgomery County, and there's a lot going on. I always go to what we're doing from a system building standpoint. I think a lot of times in workforce, the boards are kind of the go-to or catch-all to solve a lot of workforce problems, or sometimes the punching bag as well. But in Montgomery County, we're saturated with a lot of great organizations, economic development, K through 12, post-secondary, government, chambers, and so forth, and everybody has their own workforce system. And so our role is to really make sure that we all know what we are all doing. We're all playing nice in the sandbox, per se. And we know when to jump into the same lane and swim together. So a lot of that system building, and we did a workshop on that yesterday, which went really well. We were happy about that. And so when we do that, we eliminate waste. And when I say waste, I think we waste a bit of money in workforce at times, and then we put out a better product for our businesses and a better service to our job seekers. So that's what we're focused on.
Well, thank you for that, Anthony. When I think about you, you are one of the individuals that's in this workforce development space that I truly respect as well. So I just wanted to go on the record publicly to say I truly respect you for the work that you
Appreciate
have
that.
done throughout your career as well. As being a veteran within the workforce development space and a alum of KRA Corporation, can you let the listening audience know exactly how did KRA help prepare you for your current role as the Executive Director of WorkSource Montgomery?
So I was with KRA for 10 years, roughly, and learned a lot during my time at KRA. But I would say the one thing that really carried forward with me was that I learned that workforce is a business, right? We're all in it for the right reason. We want to develop, strengthen workers, develop communities, strengthen workers. That used to be the old tagline, Jonathan. I know you remember. But this is a business, right? And so, KRA had sites where, the lights needed to be paid, HR functions needed to happen, quality control needed to happen. You needed to have stakeholder relations. You needed to manage the profit and loss. You needed to, gauge burn rates. You needed to develop budgets and tweak budgets along the way, and that came with tweaking strategies and so forth. And so it's feel good work because you feel good when somebody's life is impacted, when a business gets better because of your service. But behind the scenes is a beast, and it's a business. And so I think that's what I really learned at KRA, which helped me when I stepped into this job, because I learned a lot about the business aspect, what happens behind the scenes when you're managing money, and making sure that the money can make the mission happen. And you're being good stewards of public dollars, private dollars, wherever you're getting your funding from. And so that was the biggest thing for me, is just learning the business side of it.
Thank you for that. One of your team members, we had the pleasure of interviewing earlier, Mr. John Hattery. And John spoke highly of you about how you came in and helped elevate WorkSource Montgomery as well. When we think about community impact, and especially in Montgomery County, can you let the listening audience know exactly over the course of how long you've been in 3-4 years now? I lost track, but you've been doing some great work there. What kind of impact have you been able to make on Montgomery County thus far?
We can talk quantitative. We've added, I think the last number over the last 3.5 years is close to 5,000 jobs, right? These are people that are going to work, adding to Montgomery County's labor force on the employment side. So that creates a tax base. And so when the tax base increases, then the community increases, right, and gets better, because there's more money to pay for services and, to keep Montgomery County a great place to live and work. And so we can go down the line, how many people got credentialed, how many people got placed, and all the traditional things that we're going to talk about, ad nauseum at this conference. But, one of the things I'm most proud of is because, you pay our salary, right, with your taxes, right? We get paid from we owe, which is taxpayer money. We get county money, state money, and so forth. And we really wanted the public to trust us. I wanted WorkSource Montgomery to be premier when it comes to, if you talk to somebody in the community, they say WorkSource Montgomery, they get it done. They do what they say. When you talk to a community provider, they just don't talk partnerships. They're real partners. When you talk to a business, they say, we went to them for help and we got the help that we needed. When you talk to locally elected officials, they say our workforce agency is aligned with where we're headed, where we want to be as a community and as a county. And so that was big for us. It doesn't put anybody into a job and so forth, but when it comes to developing a coherent workforce system, you need players from all different spaces, like I said, government, community, faith-based, residents and so forth. And so that just, came with us doing what we said we were going to do and what we should do. And so that's the thing I'm most proud of from an impact standpoint, is that there's a level of trust, I think. It's not 100%, right? And we're not perfect, but there's a level of trust in our organization and our people, right? Because if people love WorkSource Montgomery, it's probably because they love the person that they work with, not because they just see these 3 letters and are just, have some type of connection, but they're connected to the good people that are doing the good work in the community.
Anthony, at workforce conferences like this, it's a great opportunity to meet new people, familiar faces as well, learn best practices, and to be inspired. I know you had a workshop presentation as well here. What were some of the insights or the things that you were seeking to instill in the audience that you were speaking to at this conference?
Don't try to do it alone. That's what system building is about for us. We build smart partnerships. Montgomery County is so diverse, right? If you don't know about Montgomery County, we're one of the most diverse counties in the country. Not in the state of Maryland. There are close to 200 languages spoken in the homes of Montgomery County residents, and you may think that everybody's streets are paved with gold and everybody has these big single-family houses with pets and fences and living a dream. That's not the case, right? So we know that over a third of our county is living below or right around the federal poverty line. And so that ALICE population, asset limited, income constrained, and employed, and that's just folks that are living check to check and trying to make sure that the tire doesn't blow, or that the child doesn't have a growth spurt and they have to buy shoes or clothes off schedule or off tour. And so what I really tried to drive home yesterday is that those families don't all look the same. Some of them are from Afghanistan, some of them are from Iran, some are from Latin America. And so we have so many credible messengers and companies within the county is that we don't have to do it alone. We can create smart partnerships and support programs that are already in existence, as opposed to us trying to do it all or you trying to do it all. Let's work together. Because when we do that, then we reach the families that really need help the way they need to be helped and they need to be reached. And we're not always the entity to do that. So let's not try to be everything for everyone. Let's create smart partnerships. So that was the theme, and we went through our 5-step process, which I won't get into. You have to come to the workshop next time, Jonathan.
Next year.
Yeah, next year.
Yeah. Well, I've heard you've come back to KRA and have spoken to some of our leadership about your journey and some of the things that you picked up along the way that are part of what you do. And I know we talked about that a few moments ago, what that journey looked like. If there were any specific skill sets, maybe one or two that really stick out to you that you would say that you use on a daily basis, that you are instilling in your team and your organization, what would that be to you?
Patience and communication, right? We work with people that serve people, and every person I've ever met is different from every other person I've ever met. And so when you're in that type of business, I think patience is truly a virtue, right? And because everybody around you has varying levels of patience, and we could be talking business, right? Because we got to talk, money when it comes to projects and so forth. And then we have to talk maybe why, we had a breakdown on a project, or we may be talking to a TANF customer in DC, and maybe we fumbled on an incentive payment or a stipend payment or an ITA payment to a training provider, right? And so, whether you mess up or whether you don't mess up, whatever the conversation is, you got to have a level of patience, and you got to have, I think, a level of strategic, tactful, diplomatic communication ability, so that you can, kind of meet everybody where they were. And that's saying a lot without saying a whole lot, but those are the two things I learned. You have to be patient, and you have to communicate, because everybody's level of patience and understanding may not be the same. And that could be talking to, an exec, a CEO, a board member, or to a participant, but just being real situational in both areas, with your patience and your communication. So that's been big for me.
That's great. Well, it's been great catching up with you here and just learning about what's happening here in WorkSource Montgomery, and want to continue the conversation.
So, Anthony, you have had a very great career in workforce development, and here at the Raising the Bar conference, we have seen new folks that have entered the workforce as it relates to being job developers and being workforce development professionals as well. What advice would you give to the fresh faces within the workforce development space on how they can build a very illustrious career such as yourself and also have longevity as well?
I don't know if this is great advice. I was in SETA last week at the SETA conference in Savannah, and a young guy by the name of Jacob was early in his career. He's within year one, and he's going through, just I guess some growing pains. We're all trying to do more with less, and the best advice I could give him was to just keep showing up, keep being adaptive in the way that you think and approach things, and like don't be afraid to blow the box up. But like ultimately, I've written my resignation several times while I was at KRA, right? But it's good, right? That's an exercise to get your thoughts out and get your emotions out and so forth. But at the end of the day, I come back, right? And it's not a KRA thing. This work is hard. This is hard work, right? Trying to impact change or affect change like we all want to see it happen. And so like the best advice I can give is to keep showing up, because if I want somebody to have a long and illustrious career, I don't know if my career is illustrious, but I have had a great one and I'm still going, right? Yeah. I ain't old at all, but I would say just keep showing up, keep being positive, keep having patience, and work on your communication skills. But if you keep showing up, others gonna stop showing up, and then you're gonna end up rising, right? That's one. I don't know if that's a fact, but that's my feeling, and that's what I've seen throughout my career. So just keep showing up. It's hard. It's hard work, right? And so most times you stop showing up and you jump over to somewhere else. You think the grass is greener. It's gonna be hard work over there as well. So you might as well stick with it. So not great advice. That's my advice.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. It's great advice from myself. So
mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, want to, again, thank you, Anthony, for the insights today that you shared with our audience. And again, you're a familiar voice within the KRA family, and just a valuable asset to the workforce industry. Your conference participation and speaking as well, I think, translates a lot to folks that are out there. So we appreciate that and look forward to having you on again here at KRA's The Hub podcast.
Thank you for having me. And you all can't see this, but KRA has water now. Derek is drinking KRA water, so I love it, man. Thank you for having me.
It's our new brand.
Yep.
Thank you. We are here today in Maryland at the Raising the Bar conference, and who better to have as part of the show here than Kirkland Murray, who is the president of the Maryland Workforce Association. Kirkland, welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
So how about we jump right in and talk about your role and several hats that you wear, but as it pertains to this conference, but also some of the other work that you do at the local level as well.
So thank you again for having me. And thank you for being here at Raising the Bar. So Raising the Bar is a conference put on by the Maryland Workforce Association. It's an association of the 13 workforce boards in the state of Maryland. The purpose of our association is to advocate for workforce development here in the state of Maryland, and to also make sure that we're training and upskilling our professionals that are here delivering workforce services in Maryland. As you guys know, September is Workforce Development Month, so we want to tie this conference into that, really celebrate the individuals who are on the front line every day delivering services for residents and for businesses. So and additionally, my day job, what I really do is I'm the local workforce development director and president and CEO of Anne Arundel Workforce Development Corporation. We are the workforce entity here in Anne Arundel County, servicing both county residents to help them start, transition, and advance in their skills, but also working with our businesses to help them attract, retain, and upskill their workforce so that they can be successful here in the county. And workforce development is economic development, and we work very closely with our Economic Development Association entity here in Anne Arundel County to make sure businesses have that skilled workforce. In Anne Arundel County, we take a demand-driven approach to workforce. where we really believe in sector strategies. We've identified 5 high-growth industries here in Anne Arundel County. We call it HITCH, healthcare, IT, transportation, construction, hospitality, really working to make sure that we're building a pipeline of skilled workers, at the same time making sure that our county residents are all advancing into family-sustained wage, good quality jobs.
Thank you for that, Mr. Murray. You said something, and I just wanted to kind of elaborate on it a little bit more. You said economic development is workforce development.
Mm-hmm.
And as a seasoned 15-year veteran within the workforce community economic development arena, what makes you say community economic development is workforce development?
So actually, I've been in workforce development for 15 years, leading Anne Arundel Workforce Development Corporation. But before that, I was doing economic development. So I started back in the early 2000s with the state. So the State Department, back then it was the Department of Business Economic Development, now it's the Department of Commerce, and really doing that. But even then, I was also touching workforce development from a different lens. So really working with businesses to help them upskill their existing workforce. I transitioned down to Anne Arundel County and worked for Anne Arundel County Economic Development, doing the same thing, going out helping businesses to grow, but really focusing on their workers. So when the opportunity to come over to AAWDC, to lead AAWDC, it was a natural transition for me because I've already done this, but also it brings in the passion of helping individuals to advance in their career. But workforce development is economic development. It's funny. The person I worked for the state and then worked for at the local level was a professional economic developer, but from the real estate side of it, that you need real estate for your businesses to grow and thrive in your jurisdiction. But I've always said you can have all the real estate you want, but if you don't have the talent, if the businesses cannot attract and retain the talent that they need to be successful, your area is not going to grow. And then also when you come at it from the individual side, if individuals can't afford to live in your community, have good paying jobs that pay good wages, offer benefits, offer career advancement, they're not going to be here. So this morning we had our county exec, Stuart Pittman, address this conference and welcome everyone to Anne Arundel County. And you know what Stuart always says is that he wants Anne Arundel County to be the best place for all. You're not going to do that if you're not helping individuals. So again, to help individuals to move up and to advance in their career, that's economic development. They're spending more money. They're staying here. They're buying houses. They're maybe put their kids to college. That's economic development. Helping businesses to grow their workforce and to make sure that they have the skilled talent they need to advance. That's economic development. So therefore, workforce development is economic development.
Thank you for that. And I'm so happy to hear someone, especially a leader such as yourself here in the state of Maryland, say that as well, because as we all aware, on a national level, on the federal government level, the federal government is really starting to understand how workforce development is economic development. And I think that here in the state of Maryland, we have done an excellent job of really championing workforce development as economic development as well. So I really thank you for that as well. When you think about throughout your 15-year career, what has been some of the challenges that you have faced with really getting the local economy to really embrace not only workforce, but really to help the local economy bring more workers online as well? What have been some of them challenges that you probably can speak about?
So, of course, I'm going to say the biggest challenge is always funding and the federal, state, and local level funding workforce development. Make sure we have the funds that we need to be able to service everyone. Like you said, I've been doing this for 15 years, so I've seen different economies. I was here during the Great Recession of 2008, 2009, 2010. So where you had the flip of what you have right now. You had more individuals who were out of work looking to get back into the work, so making sure that we had the ability to be able to take those individuals in, really assess them, provide the services that they need, the training that they need, the upskilling that they need to get back into the workforce. And then, of course, right now what we're dealing with, this is probably even more difficult than now, where you have for every individual who's looking for work, there are 3 and 4 job openings. So we just don't have the talent now. So one of the challenges is making sure that we're building that talent. And this is why it's so important that workforce development organizations really engage with their business and do that sector work, that important sector work, so you really know what the businesses are looking for, so you can help them build a pipeline of skilled work. work. In Maryland, it's taken a while for the General Assembly and different people to really understand the value of workforce development, but they're now starting to see this. For example, back in the 2021 General Assembly session, that they put into Blueprint for Maryland's Future.
Voice privacy contents have been updated. To continue, review the updated items on.
Sorry about that. That's okay. Yeah. So back in 2001, they passed the legislation Blueprint for Maryland's Future, which is looking at making Maryland a world-class K through 12 education system. But they included the workforce boards into this. That funding come to the local workforce boards to hire career coaches to go into every middle and high schools to be able to start getting students on a career path. So the goal is by the time they get to the 10th grade, they're on a career path. They know what type of careers are out there. They know what type of career they want to go into. Their education while they're in high school is matching what they need to go into a career.
So obviously in your role, you have an outlook at the state level and the local level. And when putting on a conference like this, I'm sure there's some thought that goes into, well, what are the trends? What are the issues in workforce development at this point in time in the year that should be emphasized? What are some of those themes that you looked at when putting this conference together that you thought, well, let's really emphasize this area? And what are some of the takeaways that you would want the conference goers at this year's conference to walk away with?
So again, the purpose of this conference is really to help the frontline staff. So really helping them to be able to do their job so they can service their clients better. So really focusing a lot on those targeted populations, reentry, individuals with disability. This is the main conference. At the post-conference that starts on Thursday, we're focusing again on those high school students, middle and high school, so the career coaching around that. And doing that, but really focusing on those individuals that really need our services, those targeted populations, but also focus on the business side and making sure that we're doing that sector work and really understanding engaging businesses. But as you know, or you may know, here in Maryland, we have a big push for apprenticeship. So we really wanted to bring that apprenticeship in. We have an organization, Soulful Partners, that's here doing technical assistance for local workforce boards so that local workforce boards can be a key player in helping to build apprenticeship opportunities. And of course, we do it on both sides. Again, working with the businesses to help them to become sponsors or apprenticeships, or even local workforce boards becoming the sponsor of those apprenticeships, but also on the job seeker side, making sure that we're educating them about the value of apprenticeships and connecting to apprenticeship opportunities. So when we really look at putting this conference together, we look at both sides of the house, both making sure that those frontline staff that are working with those targeted populations, that they have the best tools, the latest trends in which working with that, sharing best practices among each other, but then also making sure that we're being responsive to businesses and the clients that are working with businesses. That's one of the biggest change that I've seen in my 15 years is that workforce development all in the beginning was about the individuals, rightly so, helping those individuals to get the skills so that they can get good quality jobs. But now you're starting to see a trend and a change in workforce development that they're understanding that the businesses are also a client in that, and working with those businesses and really engaging them, not just coming in and saying, well, you need to hire my job seekers, but really understanding what businesses need so that you can better prepare your job seekers. So you don't have to say you need to hire them. Businesses are coming to you and saying, I want your job seekers because we know that they have been trained to the skills that we are looking for.
That's great. Yeah, I love that. The holistic approach to looking at what's in demand for the job seeker customer, what's in demand for the businesses that we're working on. And so thank you for that. Now, in closing, we've been asking this question to many influential leaders. We're here in the present. We're looking at what are the trends today. But when you look at tomorrow, the future, what are some of the things at the state level, at the local level that you're thinking about when you spend time thinking, planning, and strategizing and leading your organization for the future?
So it's very interesting. That's a very good question. And that's what I used to do. I used to always say, okay, what's next? Where do we really need to go? What's coming down the horizon? What's going on in the economy? Are we looking for a boom economy where we need to get more people into the labor force and get them skilled up? Or are we looking for possibly that R word, that recession, and we know we're going to have more job seekers? But then in 2020, COVID came in, and I stopped looking, because you just have to be nimble. That's what you have to be. You have to kind of guess where things are going, but you also have to be nimble. And that's one of the things that COVID, if there was anything positive about COVID, it taught workforce to be nimble and to be flexible. You know, we were in a boom economy where we were trying to help people, you know, working with businesses to fill their needs for talent. And then COVID came in. We had to almost switch and look at how do we support individuals while they're being laid off and temporarily doing that. And, you know, we came up with some good innovative things. I'm really proud of what happened here in Maryland. The Workforce Board stood up a lot of innovative programs. Some of our AJCs did not even close. They couldn't close because individuals needed help with filing for unemployment and things like this. So we quickly switched from being that organization that's known for helping people to get skills to helping people file for unemployment. And then, you know, here in Anne Arundel County, our county exec asked us, he wanted to do gift cards for individuals who lost wages or lost their jobs. So we stood that up. I mean, we did thousands and thousands of gift cards for individuals. So, you know, you stop looking, you know, again, we were on a track of looking at what do we do to, you know, get more people in the pipeline. And then here in Baltimore, you had the collapse of the Key Bridge. Again, we had to pivot. How do we help those individuals that were working at the port or businesses around the port to really support them during that time while they were unemployed? Luckily, we have a great governor that showed great leadership here and got the port back open, so that was temporary. But, you know, we always have to look and see what's coming down the horizon and things like this. But the main thing is that you got to be flexible, because what you think you're going to see coming down the horizon, something will come in and throw you a wrench, and you just got to be able to respond to that.
That's great. Well, Kirkland, I want to thank you for joining us. Today's conversation was thoughtful, and it was great to just hear from your perspective as well, the various roles that you play locally and here within the state and behind the scenes of how a conference like this comes together. And appreciate the work that you're doing, the insights and the value that you're adding to this space as a leader within workforce development. So thank you for joining us today on KRA's The Hub podcast.
Well, thank you.
And thank you as well, Derek.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to KRA's The Hub. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. To learn more about KRA Corporation, visit www.kra.com. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll be back soon with a new episode.